Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, brother like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right. Shout out to the fam. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Shout out to you guys. Appreciate you being in the live. Hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend. Good to hear from you guys. Much love to all of you out there. Stay safe and always, man, always know much love to you guys that you're thoroughly and appreciated. So big ups to the fam. Much love. And who that to all you guys out there? OG Jerry. Shout out to my brother OG Jerry. Brother Tim is in this thing backwoods. How you doing, sir? Brother Keldrick. What's happening, man? Appreciate you. Brother Gerard. How you doing, sir? Much love. Brother Terrence from Japan. All right, Brother Terrence. You stay safe over there, my brother. Shout out to you. Brother Clyde. How you doing, sir? Appreciate you catching a live with us. Brother Byron's in this thing. Shout out to my brother Trey. Shout out to Trey. Much love as well. Appreciate you. Much love to everybody, man. Appreciate you guys. What's up, Jayden? Shout out to Jayden. Appreciate you, fam. Who that daddy? Much love, my friend. 504 Cole. How you been, brother? Good, man. Good. Just been little stuff moving around, taking care of some business, creating some stuff, you know, doing what I usually do, just staying busy before the Saints get busy with the big camp coming up. Y'all know what time it is. Shout out to you. Appreciate you for asking. Much love. What's up, Adrian Bond? Shout out to you, my brother. Appreciate you for being in the stream. Desi, what's up, Queen? Appreciate you. Dr. Keys in this thing as well. Brother Larry, how you doing, sir? Much love. Appreciate all the fantastic family members. Much love to you guys. Appreciate you being in the stream. So we're going to talk some Saints fam early on in the broadcast. And then, of course, you know, switch it up a little bit toward the back end of the broadcast. I'm going to talk a little boxing to my family members out there. I know y'all like boxing. We usually talk about boxing on Ring Kings Boxing. That's a podcast that we came up with many years ago. It was me and the late, great Eddie Two Mean Johnson. He was a former professional boxer. One of my best friend, one of my best friends that ever was in life. He passed away a couple of years ago, you guys know, and I continue to keep the Ring Kings Boxing broadcast alive and kicking. So you can help us out by joining Ring Kings Boxing. It's Ring Kings Boxing World. It's on YouTube. You can check us out, but we do commentary about boxing. The reason I want to talk about that is because there is a really big fight coming up later on in the year with Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Bud Crawford. I think these are two fantastic fighters, and I want to kind of talk about them toward the back end of the broadcast. And also we kind of hit in and talk about some of the stuff that's just recently happened. That's official, you know, that was announced with the U.S. and the Iran thing. And we're going to kind of go into that, talk a little bit about that toward the back end of the broadcast as well. So already. So as we get ready to get going in the broadcast, y'all know that if y'all have any questions or comments, please feel free to drop them in the comment section or, you know, in the chat. And please, before you ask it, because sometimes, you know, I miss the questions, put Q in front of it so it can kind of stand out. All right, big ups. What's up, brother JT? Shout out to you, sir. Appreciate you as well. The queens and the kings of the comas in live effect. Y'all do me a service and spike that like button for me. So starting off the broadcast, the Saints did make some moves. They announced 5 roster moves that happened recently as an attempt that the New Orleans Saints are setting up the roster going into the camp. And like we said, we've seen the OTAs, we've seen the minicamp, a little brief inside view of it. We've seen the collection of moves the Saints have done insofar as a lot of the questions are early on answering in terms of who's going to be the quarterback, in terms of who's going to be the competing factor. We know Carr is gone. He's out of the way. So we have 2 young quarterbacks vying for the position, in my estimation, with Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler going forward. We also realize the offensive line arrangement. Now, we know Kelvin Banks Jr. will be the left tackle, the blindside tackle. We know that Tolly will go to right tackle. We know that Trevor Penning now is shifted to the left guard position in competition with Dylan Runnings, a free agent the Saints picked up from the Tennessee Titans, who played for them at the guard position. So that'll be an interesting battle there. We starting to see some of the team fill out, getting ready for camp. So, before the actual camp and the preseason games, this is probably one of the clearer views of what we see potentially what the team could look like. Now, of course, as we get right before camp, the Saints could sign free agents. We've seen that happen before in terms of veterans that can compete there at offense or defense or what have you, and then special teams, maybe the return game. But this is a good view, and we'll look at the unofficial depth chart, take a good look at it as well. All right. OG says, Big Q, we really need a brand new intro now. Tired of seeing Derek. All right, OG, you got it, brother. You're right. OG said, hey, man, the man is gone. We got to get him on out the way. You're right, OG. I'm going to get the people working on that, brother. We're going to see to make sure. We're going to see about getting Carr out and see, fam. Let me tell y'all something, fam. When you do things right in the Who Dat Nation, we look after you. We give you the proper respect that you deserve. Like Drew Brees, Deuce McAllister, Mark Ingram, even Mike Thomas, even though a lot of the media personalities don't like Mike Thomas. I like Mike Thomas. I think Mike Thomas did it the right way. He was one of the top wide receivers in Saints history, in my estimation, before the injuries really started catching on to him. But there's a lot of other people like that. Like we do like Cam Jordan. When Cam retired, he's going to be up there. Demario Davis, them guys are going to be up there. So we can love on you. And when you do right, we uphold you. When you do wrong, we kind of get at you on the discipline tip. And that's what a family's supposed to do. As we ain't supposed to do somebody do something, say something crazy that's in contradiction of the truth, and you give them a pass on that. Now you're supposed to get some straightening going on. We got to get the Who Dat Nation on that straightening game. We can't always let them have it all the time, especially when they trying to run cover and smoke like I got at Cam for what he said about all the injury stuff without admitting that the coaching was an issue. They didn't press them players hard enough. This type of stuff, the accountability aspect of it. We need to, we ain't gonna let you cover and run smoke for being a loser. Now, come on now, and collecting checks and being a loser. We can't let you do that. So sometimes people get off center. We gotta march your ass right back to where you belong in the center of some stuff. So sometimes, sometimes that happens like that, baby. All right, what's up, KK? Shout out to KK as well. Yeah, new uniforms. Okay, all right, I got you, Adrian. All right, brother Gundam, how you doing, sir? Appreciate you as well. So let's get right into it, man. The Saints announced 5 roster moves. This happened on Friday, including signing the tight end Seth Green, cornerback Jaden Price, and offensive tackle Barry Wesley. They also, to make room for some of these people, the Saints waived cornerback Travion Fluin and running back Xavier Valladay in corresponding moves to keep up with the roster demands. Now, as far as Green is concerned, he's a 26-year-old player, played collegiately at Minnesota before transferring to Houston his final season. He went undrafted in 2021. He wound up catching on with the Texans. He was one of the team's final roster cuts prior to the season. And then when Green signed back to the practice squad with the Cowboys, was then released in December. Then, he returned on a futures deal. They cut him again. And he then spent 2 years in the UFL with the UFL with the Arlington Renegades. So the guy just, he's been in Texas a lot during his college career. When he played with Minnesota and Houston in college, he played primarily a wide receiver, had 114 times he kind of, caught the ball for 388 yards. He averaged just almost 3.5 yards per catch. And he had 15 touchdowns. He caught 9 passes for 240, almost a 13 catch average with 3 touchdowns there. So this is a kind of a thing to talk about with Green. Some of these guys the Saints added on to the roster. And like I said, these are mostly just UFL players. And it'll be interesting to see just how it adds. Hold on, fam, just a second. I don't know why that cut off. Let me get my screen back up here. Just a second. Here we go. All right. So here we go. Here's the proper screen. There we go. All right. So the tight end Seth Green. Let's go with him. We talked about him, Jaden Price and Wesley. We talked about Green playing ball there. He spent some time with Dallas. And then, of course, we go to Price. Price originally signed with the Falcons, so we got an ex-Falcon player. So we got to baptize him and bring him in the building, scrub him down really good. Somebody got a good pair of really sharp clippers. We got to make sure we bring the clippers to the Saints facility and make sure we do totally defeather this man before we put on a Saints jersey. We don't want feathers on our jersey. We got to make sure we bring the clippers to thoroughly clip out and shave all feathers off of Mr. Price. All right. So 2024 draft choice out of North Dakota State, didn't make the roster. He was a teammate of Green, so they know each other. And spring, he had 27 tackles and a half a sack, adding 194 punt returns to 337 kick return yards. In fall of 24, Price played 1 game for the Canadian Football League's Hamilton Cats. Wesley played for the Sea Dragons of the XFL in 2023 spring, coming out of Colorado State, where he played from 2018 to 21 after the XFL season. He signed with the Falcons and made the practice squad for the preseason. After competing with the Falcons back in the 2024 preseason, he joined UFL's Birmingham Stallions for the 2025 season. Played 9 of 11 games, seeing action at both the tackle and guard position, and was nominated for the league's Sportsman of the Year. So there you go. With that being said, so these are some of the UFL players. And like I said, a lot of these UFL guys, you never know what you're getting. They can come in and we'll see what they got going on in the back end. So it'd be interesting to see, man. Like I said, when you always talk about these type of players, you don't never see no picture of them. It's a Saints helmet, so that's not very telling. All right, so let's keep it moving, man. Let's talk about what happened in training and just passed in the camp. All right, so what's to expect? As the Saints reporting for the day for training camp. This is what NOLA, shout out to them. They did a really good piece on it, talking about the Saints reporting for training camp on July the 22nd. That was revealed. The league announced the reporting dates for all the 32 teams. Saints will have their rookies and veterans show up on the same day. That's good news. The Giants, the Niners make a distinction between the groups as rookies are allowed to report a week prior. And the NFL announced the full list of joint practices, 24 sessions taking place across the league. The Saints won't be one of the teams participating. Saints eyed a practice with the Chargers, but the plans did not materialize. After reporting the site, Saints will likely begin camp the following day, but the team has yet to announce its full schedule. This is still some time before that happens. New Orleans will begin camp at their practice facility in Metairie before heading to Irving, California for 9 days. That's from August the 6th to the 15th. Following up their trip out west, the Saints will come back to Louisiana and finish the camp at home. This will be the team's first training camp with Coach Moore, who was hired in February. So a lot of what was happening with the Saints, and like I said, the OTAs and the minicamp, we got a good feel for Coach Moore. But remember, patience is going to be required this year for the Saints. You got a rookie head coach. You got young quarterbacks at the top of the team. But outside of that, the Saints, if you look at them, they're still built like a veteran-led team. Outside of the rookie head coach and the young quarterbacks at the top of the team, correct? I mean, you still have veterans running your running back room. You still have veterans on top of the wide receiver room. You still have veterans in the tight end room. You still have a good. Well, you look at the offensive line, you got a lot of young folks there outside of McCoy in the middle and Cesar Ruiz. Penning, this is his 4th year, so you can't really call him young anymore, even though he hadn't really played a lot of snaps in the time that he's been here. But Tolly's in the 2nd year. We got Kelvin Banks Jr., who's a rookie there. And then we have guys like Dylan Runnels, who's a vet, Landon Young, who's been here for a while. You can consider him a vet, Will Clapp, and then a lot of unproven guys situated around that. So it'd be interesting to see the Saints if they can add some more offensive linemen there. Training camp, July the 22nd, family. That'll be here before you know it, as we are in June. It's going to be very interesting, to be honest with you, man. All right, let's keep it going. And to this next article, free agents on offense who could be looked at by the Saints. Shout out to Bob Rose. He wrote this article. Shout out to Bob. He's at the Saints Wire. Much love there. All right. And then, of course, this is Bob's take from an offensive standpoint, who the Saints could be looking at going forward and who, he gives an idea. Still a little over a month. Begin the training camp. Saints may not be done bringing in free agents. Saints have recently added the UFL players we talked about. They doesn't have a lot of, he said New Orleans doesn't have a lot of salary cap space. However, they created enough room to add a few more players to 1-year deals if they choose. And some intriguing veterans on the offensive side of it could still be in play. So Saints have 20 plus million in cap. They're looking pretty good. This is the best time I've seen them have this kind of money in a long time. The Derek Carr thing really helped out. Of course, Mickey Loomis kicked the can like he always does, but the Derek Carr thing really helps the Saints in monumental ways because a lot of that money was affixed to him. So that really kind of helps us moving forward. Now, this is who some of the free agents that Bob talks about that we might be in the look for. Quarterback position. Do the Saints need a veteran quarterback or a guy to come in? Right now, they be steadfast on the young guys that we see in the group right now. They stand with the young guys. They think the focus of the team going into the future is between Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler. Now, the interesting component about it is to me, I think that's a good estimation of how to run your quarterback from. Now, if somebody gets hurt, you can kind of delve back and see if you could pick up somebody like a Carson Wentz or maybe a Teddy Bridgewater to come in to be a mentor to the group. But in terms of what they're doing, I can appreciate it because, number one, you got a rookie head coach, which we know people will naturally say, okay, listen, we're not expecting a great deal of whatever's going to happen offensively speaking because we got this rookie head coach. First time him doing it as a head coach, not as a coordinator. It's a difference, right? We've seen what the Dennis the Possum Face Allen did when he was a defensive coordinator, had really solid defenses, but when he stepped up to become a head coach, he did not have it. This Kellen Moore kid has been groomed to be a head coach. His father was a head coach, taught him or whatever, and he has been slowly on the rise to get there. He's here. I think he has a lot of good head coach qualities. He's easy to talk to, got an imagination there that's really good, and he seems to have a good camaraderie with the people around him. And that's also good to be easily approached by players as well as assistant coaches and, whatnot. So I agree with the fact that they want to stay young and look between Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler at the QB position. I could appreciate that. I can rock with that. We can go with that, right? So why does the Saints seem content on seeing how quickly the rookie Tyler Shuck and second year Spencer Rattler develop? If they both struggle through the early portions of camp and preseason, you could be looking for the Saints that might want to dip back. Situations that bear watching are Jameis Winston with the Giants or Kenny Pickett. We heard what Cam Jordan talked about when wanting to bring Jameis Winston here. I can remember there was a time where Cam was advocating for, who was he advocating for, y'all? To come here, and Jameis was still here as the quarterback. Boy, how things turn around. Kenny Pickett with Cleveland. New Orleans won't trade any draft capital for a quarterback, but could be willing to sign a veteran if Tyler Shuck and Rattler don't develop as quickly as hoped. I think they'll have a lot of patience with both those quarterbacks because the Saints brass sees a starter, either one of those guys, Tyler Shuck or Spencer Rattler. I think they'll be good there with a rookie head coach, young quarterback. People will be more patient with these guys. You see what I'm saying? And if it was a time for that to happen, it would be now. The running back position, Gus Edwards, Jeff Wilson, Chris Evans, Chase Edmonds, Amir Abdullah. Saints just signed Akers to push veteran Kendre Miller and Clyde Edwards-Helaire Rookie 6th-round choice Devin Neal could also be a draft steal. It seems unlikely that the Saints sign another back before camp. However, another injury from Miller, or if Akers turns out to be ineffective, the team could bring in another body here before the conclusion of the preseason. Yes, Saints have a very good veteran-led running room. AK-41. Kendre Miller is the biggest question mark of the group because of his inability to stay healthy just up to this point. Perhaps that changes now. He has a new Coach Moore has given him his blessings, say that he's a clean slate. We'll see how it all goes. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was somebody who was last year. They signed late. They brought him back. He has a lot of versatility. And the rookie 6th-round draft choice, Devin Neal out of Kansas. He's a Jayhawk. He was the all-time Jayhawk leading rusher there. And they had some good running backs come out of it. But to have Devin Neal here is a pickup. So Kellen Moore kind of knowing that getting running backs, and then Cam Akers added, getting those running backs here, the focus of the Saints offense has to be in terms of using their running backs, getting into that ground and pound game and running the football effectively with young quarterbacks, man. That's just, that's just commonsensical, right? And of course, we look at the tight end position. Gerald Everett, that's a former Ram, CJ Uzomah, Jeff Swam, and Anthony Furser. The Saints already have a crowded room here with 9 players on the roster, including Taysom. However, Taysom and Foster are rehabbing injuries and may not be available well into camp. Additionally, 5 of the other tight ends on the roster have spent most of all their careers on the practice squad. Everett, Uzomah, and Swam have all had at least 1 year plan for Kellen Moore, and a number of those New Orleans offensive assistants. If Foster Moreau and Hill are delayed in their returns, the Saints could look for some veteran insurance behind starter Jawan Johnson. That's absolutely right. We know Taysom's not going to be available right away. Mickey Loomis told us that. Foster, a lot of people at the injury reports that Foster should be back for training camp for the Saints. We'll see how that all goes if they use him in a limited way. But there are a lot of young guys. Matavo, what's the other guy? Hawker. They got a lot of guys there we want to see. Not much experience there, but very intriguing to say nonetheless. The wide receiver position, right? The Saints have already visited with Gabe Davis, who had some other interests around the league. Most expect New Orleans to pursue Allen or Cooper because they each played for more, but the Saints have shown no interest in either thus far. Gabe Davis came in for a visit, nothing from that. Tyler Boyd, Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, and DJ Chalk, right? Could one of those guys be the guys? Or Saints might be counting on a second-year wideout like Bub Means or newly signed Donovan Peoples-Jones to step up as the possession receiver out of this group. Starters Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed are an explosive tandem, but the Saints may still look to add quality depth with Davis or another signing. They did bring in Gabe Davis. We'll see if Keenan Allen, last time I checked, he's still out there. He's been getting some rumors, the Chargers, the Cardinals, the Steelers was another one. Different teams with Keenan Allen, but you should see some of these guys, Gabe Davis, Keenan Allen, and these guys get ready to fall off that free agency list, fam, because when you get close to camp, a lot of these guys are going to get picked up. So, but you're absolutely right. Gabe Davis it was interesting. His speed, he can catch the ball and stretch, but Keenan Allen, to me, makes a lot of sense. Big wide receiver, big possession receiver, played underneath Kellen Moore with his system when he was out there with the Chargers. It's a lot of these players that could help, but the Saints approach could be similar to the QB approach, where they believe that somebody from the Saints room, the young wide receivers, could step up and make something happen. We'll see how that all plays, right? That's another interesting component. People still say, hey, man, where's that possession guy at? So we'll see. Let's hit the offensive line. That's the final one underneath the offensive free agents list that Bob wrote. Dalton Reisner, Cody Whitehair, Andrus Peat is there, Shaq Mason, and Mark Lewinsky. All listed here predominantly guards. The Saints have potential dominant duo of tackles and recent first-round picks Tali Fuaga and Kelvin Banks Jr., along with the emergency replacements in of Trevor Penning, now at left guard, and Landon Young. New Orleans also brought in a couple former UFL starters and added former NFL starter Dylan Runnitz on the inside. While unlikely they add another veteran, you have to look back at last year. Remember the Saints' lack of quality depth when injuries ravaged the offensive line. And that's what I was talking about. Great minds think alike. And this is what I was saying about last year. That can't happen this year. If we're going to learn and have success going forward this year and learning from last year, we got to make sure that we have some really good backups on the offensive line, because guys are going to miss time. It's a physical game. We've got to make sure we have guys in there that can get in there and block, because the one thing the Saints cannot afford to lose is the ability to run the football. We can't allow teams to one-dimensionalize us and not allow us to run the football so we can get into play action, so that Kellen Moore can get into his offensive bag with different plays, whatever the case may be. We have to, win at the line. We have to run the ball. So getting Kelvin Banks Jr., Tali Fuaga, making sure the new offensive line coach step up, make these other guys like Cesar Ruiz elevate his game, Trevor Penning, these guys like that inside have really got to level up. All of them really have to level up, but these backups have to also do their jobs, and we need to make sure we get veterans on there. We got a lot of untested guys. I've seen Landon Young. I'm not impressed by Landon Young. Will Clapp is back, smart guy, but could we do better at the center, a backup center? He's listed as the backup center. He's smart, but he's not as physically dominant as you want a backup offensive lineman to be. And by all means, you want to spend there, because the reality is the Saints do have some money. So you don't have to sit back there and get fourth string backup lineman to save money like he cared about saving money. Mickey Loomis never cared about saving any money, right? But this is the thing we face with. We got to make sure if we learn anything from last year, the one thing we can take away from last year is the fact that we must get better backups on the offensive line to absorb the injuries when they start rolling down, because they will start rolling down. It's just a fact, right? All right, so that's Bob. Shout out to Bob over at the Saints Wire, putting together a list of free agents to talk about. And, he kind of talked about the wide receiver position. A lot of people felt like, hey, man, we're not done there. We need to look at the wide receiver room. We need to see that. And this next article gets into Keenan Allen to the Saints. Why the star wide receiver is the perfect target, right? This is from Sports Illustrated. Shout out to my guy over there, Kyle T. Mosley and his team. Saints have added some talent to the wide receiver room this offseason, but there's still work to do. Pro Football Focus recently released their ranking of wide receiver cores heading into the 25 season and had the Saints wide receivers listed at 23rd. Now, number 23rd, he said New Orleans Saints, says with the writer Trevor Sycamore, said the Saints receiving core has a lot of asterisks. Chris Olave is the NFL wide receiver 1 when healthy, having logged 3 season-long 82-point-plus PFF receiving grades, but his health is a concern. The same can be said about Rashid Shaheed. It's a concern. See, and this is the knock on about Chris Olave that is unfair. It's not like he is Nick Saldiveri, right? He's not Nick Saldiveri. He just the guy hurt all the time. The knock, they're hitting Chris Olave. He's getting concussed. So I asked all the family members out there, if you're a professional football player that's out there and they sending you inside and across routes, how do you protect yourself from getting concussed? How do you do that? How do you protect yourself from being concussed? That means people are hitting him in his helmet. You see what I'm saying? You get what I'm coming from? This is not something like he's hurt because he had an ankle, then he had a calf, then he had an elbow. You see what I'm saying? The man is getting concussed. It's unfortunate stuff that's happening, but he's being concussed. But he's getting labeled like he is a person that's being plagued. with that's an injury prone label. I don't think that's totally fair. Health is a concern with any player. But I just think when you look at Chris Olave, they're saying, well, he's injury prone. He's this, that, and the third. You need to get him on the body, this type of stuff. You can trade Chris Olave, get somebody in here, and somebody hit him in his damn helmet and concuss him too. And he ain't the only one out there getting concussions, by the way. We got offensive linemen that get concussions. We got defensive linemen, cornerbacks, safeties, you name it, running backs, they get concussed. But the Saints are not buying into that, to be honest with you. They know what Chris Olave is, and they know what he could be. Like if you have a big physical wide receiver like a Keenan Allen or somebody like that he can play off of, it would be special. Like originally, like I go back to saying this. When you've seen the really good play out of Chris Olave, he was connected to another guy who he could play off of. He was in his role as the speed guy, right? We know Chris Olave is a speed guy. They're looking at him as a one. No, Chris Olave is a hell of a receiver, but he plays well off the possession guy. He's the speed guy. He goes down the field, right? And then we have the slot guy like Rashid Shaheed. When you put these guys in their proper places, you're going to get a lot out of them. So the Saints attempted to do that. Remember, they had Chris Olave and they had him linked to Michael Thomas. They brought in Thomas. And they had, then you had Rashid Shaheed, and the Saints three looked good at, when they were healthy, when they played, it looked good. And then when Michael Thomas got injured and the Saints, kindly got rid of him, to say the least, then they picked up and went and got this other guy, Cedric Wilson Jr., that nobody want to talk about no more. It's like Cedric Wilson Jr. is the abominable snowman. He's the Yeti monster. He's Bigfoot. He's the boogeyman. He's taboo. Nobody want to talk about him, but he on a damn team. He was brought in and given a 2-year contract to be the possession guy to play off Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. But it looked so bad, people just totally just wiped their memory of it. Yeah, y'all forgot about him. Y'all forget, because we start talking about wide receivers, people forget about Cedric Wilson Jr. That's right, Cedric Wilson Jr. He was brought in when Mike Thomas left. They signed him and brought him into play possession. He was supposed to be a starter. He was supposed to play off of Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. He was supposed to, make them guys fit their natural roles, what they're really good at. But some kind of way now they're, we're going to look at them all the same. Like they said about, they looked at how last year they looked at and said, hey man, it don't matter. Left tackle, right tackle, they're interchangeable. And I said, no, they're not. No, they are not. You can't sit up here and tell me that a left tackle and a right tackle is interchangeable. No, it's a certain player that can play left tackle and right tackle. We seen it didn't work with Penning. Penning was a great example of that. He was crap at left tackle, but all right, he was better than what he was at left tackle when he played right tackle, because that's a certain mindset that you have to have. Tolly played it and did a really good job because Tolly's special, like Kelvin Banks Jr. is. So, I mean, yeah, you can't we send you. No. You got a right-handed quarterback and you got somebody, you better make sure whoever that left tackle is back there is watching his blind side, because the defense is always line up that best edge rush on the blind side of the quarterback. He can't look back there. He might glance for a second while he's looking at everything else, but he can't see back there 100%. Like he can cycle around and see everything in front of him when he snap that ball and stand and look straight ahead or to the right. You see what I'm saying? They line up the best guy over there. So we got to make sure whoever's over there, they can be up to that, and if you need to send them help, whatever the case may be, you got to be able to make sure you trust that guy over there. So we don't need that, but playing players in their proper space, in their proper position, you get the most out of them like that. Right. But anyway, back to this. New Orleans brought back Brandon Cooks, but he hasn't recorded a PFF receiving grade above 70 in 2 years. He's top almost 2 yards per route since 2020. Running back Alvin Kamara garnered the lowest receiving grade of his career. He talking about the PFF stats. Olave, Shaheed, Cooks are coming off of injury-filled season 24. There's a significant upside here, but also question marks, as pointed out by the PFF team. Because of this, it wouldn't hurt to bring in one more dependable veteran to town. There's been some speculation throughout the offseason to this point, and one guy's name who popped up is Keenan Allen. Now, up to date, as far as I know, there's been no conversation, just rumor mill between Saints and Keenan Allen, even though it would be a good thing because the head coach of the team knows Keenan Allen because he coached him. The Saints have a significant amount of money, and I don't think Keenan Allen would be expensive at this stage of the off season, right? So it wouldn't be a bad idea. It's hard to see why, not hard to see why, right? Allen is a 6-time Pro Bowler and even somewhat down year in 2024 with the Bears. He still had 70 catches, over 700 yards and 7 touchdowns, and he's somehow still available in free agency. That is great numbers. Could you imagine if he would have had that for the Saints last year? 70 catches, over 700 yards, and 7 touchdowns as a possession guy. The Saints are going to roll out a young guy quarterback, whether it's Tyler Shuck or Spencer Rattler. Adding another weapon should be a priority right now. Plus, it doesn't hurt that Allen overlapped with Kellen Moore with the Chargers back in 2023. Indeed, indubitably. I mean, this is the thing that I see, man, with it. And I think it makes sense. Now, will this happen? We got some time. What's up, Black Major? Shout out to you. What's up, Scoob, my boy? What it do, pimpin'? What it do, Scoob? Shout out to you. What's up, Hemisphere? Hemisphere said, I think Carr kept throwing Olavi into coverage so QB can protect the wide receiver with his back shot. Hey, listen, bro. Steve Smith talked about that. Cam and several other people, RG3, all these guys talked about that thing, about him throwing and all this kind of stuff. But like I said, Steve Smith said it the best. If you see, because if Chris Olavi's there, he sees who's coming. And if that ball puts him in a harmful way, let that goddamn ball sail, man. Let it go. Because if it's that high where he got to go up to get it like that, man, let that go. That ball shouldn't be that high. It shouldn't be that high in the sky where he has to reach out, and them guys are not going to be gentle with you and knock you and then grab you and kindly escort you to the ground. Doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Their jobs is to lay you out. I know it sounds rough. I know it sounds gruff. But at the end of the day, that's what it is. They're there just like we want our guys to do that to them. What's up, Marcus? Shout out to you, brother. It just like we see them doing that. That's what it is. 504 Coach says, got to be honest, this roster is much improved. If some of these young players can step up, we can win 8 to 11 games. And you put the schedule in there, bro. Throw the schedule. What's up, Tro? Shout out to my brother, Tro Blewett. But you put the Saints schedule in there. Fam, listen, and I said this, and I know I sound a little crazy when we did the schedule stream. If y'all didn't check it out, go check it out. We went through each one of the the games in the season schedule. The Saints don't have a cold game. Like, we look up and down the schedule and see, okay, where are some of these teams the Saints play? Buffalo and all this kind of stuff. I think they played Buffalo in week 4, right? They're up there in Buffalo. But, that's there early. We don't get the cold games. The latest cold game the Saints have is against the Tennessee Titans. Against the Titans. So that's the only cold game they have. They have the bye week is almost positioned perfectly in the Saints schedule this year. And the Saints face a bunch of teams that finished last in their divisions. That's not saying that they're going to be last this year, but a lot of those teams ain't going to flip the scale and be like, go from worst to first. You might have one team that's going to play, a couple of these teams are going to play better. I expect the Jets to play better under Coach Glenn. I expect the Patriots to play better with their new coach. What's his name? The former linebacker that's with Tennessee. I forgot his name. Y'all put it in the chat. But I expect a lot of these teams to play better. But the thing about the Saints is the Saints have, like I said, they're a veteran team everywhere else except for the head coach and the quarterbacks. We got 2 young quarterbacks. Everywhere else is veteran-led. So if the Saints can rely on running the ball, right? And it's a big ifs now. I'm not saying this is going to happen because there's a lot of stuff that has to happen correctly for the Saints to win more games than what they, to win 8+ games this year, so to speak, right? A lot of stuff positive has to happen, right? Number one, the Saints have to be ferocious. They got to be like a top 5 running team, right? Let's say a top 10 team. Let's make it easy for them, right? They have to be a top 10 running team. Last year, they were 14th ranked. So can we improve and get 4 spots better? Can we become a top 10? Realistically, we can get there. We were 14th last year, middle of the pack. We could be, if we can get to top 10, just running the football, that would help. Keeping the turnovers down is another thing. Playing smart. How smart is this team? We often talk about talent, but talent don't mean nothing if the team is stupid. So how intelligent is the Saints team? That is not a question that we can answer right now, because even though we know Kellen Moore is a very smart head coach, the team, has not grasped all of his principles yet, and it's going to be a process. So how intelligent is the Saints team under Kellen Moore going to be? Another question for the faithful: how disciplined will this team be? How disciplined? Because if they're smart and disciplined, that means that they won't shoot themselves in the foot with dumb turnovers or false starts and stuff like that. Remember, we had a lot of that in the losing that we did over the last 3 to 4 years, while we was just not good because we would do dumb things. It wasn't an intelligent team. They'll turn the ball over. When they have opportunities to score, they'll turn the ball over, or they don't capitalize off the turnovers that they get, right? They don't go down there and score a touchdown. They don't put the pressure on them. Another thing is the false starts. The pre-snap penalties was really astronomically bad for the Saints over the last 3+ years. False start penalties, that means false starting doing dumb stuff in your own building, all this madness. How smart and how disciplined will the Saints be? That's a big factor in it. And then, of course, as you go down, then we start talking about the utilization, which ties into that intelligence aspect of said talent to get the Saints to be where they be. And the thing is also playing to the strengths of the players that you have, right? Playing to their strengths. That cuts the learning curve down big time. If we can play to the strengths of our young players, that means they can contribute faster and more consistent if we play to their strengths, right? We do what works well for them. Another thing is, one of the biggest things is, how healthy will this Saints team be? Well, Q, how are you going to say the health thing? Can we control that? Yes, you can control the health of the team by bringing in better health personnel and technology. Did the Saints do that? Do they realize that? I don't know. From my knowledge right now, I don't see that they do it, because that is a major problem with the Saints. For the last 3 years, they've been failing and fumbling, stumbling, bumbling, and sit up here telling us about injuries to the hilt and ain't doing nothing to fix the injury situation. The injury monster is not the win, where you can't do nothing about them. No, you can do a lot about the injury situation. You can fire some of these doctors or bring in better people with better regimens, better health ideologies, better technology. You can improve that area of the team. The reason why they don't do that, because they got this weird deal that they signed with Ashna Health Medicine, and it's not working right now for either the Saints or the Pelicans. You got a case study of both teams, both Saints and Pelicans, rattled and riddled with injuries. Team can't even perform right because the dumb health staffs just don't know what they're doing, right? We got all these people piling up. Meanwhile, you look across the NFL, it's not stopping these other teams from winning no games. You look across the NBA, their stars are still there, still contributing, still growing together and playing. So yes, you don't have to be a person that is not capable of fighting back against the injury monster. There is a method. We can be progressive and proactive, rather, and go to where it is and hire and get better doctors, better technology, better across the board. If you can put analytics on a football field, I'm pretty sure you can go and look at the health staff and see how ineffective this is, and that this must change. This has to change. Even if you keep Oshner, just send us some different doctors. Go find the best doctors you can get in the network and bring them down here and have them to help these damn teams. I mean, is that too much? These are things that you can do. Now, will they do that? And we'll see. But recent knowledge or recent steps is showing us they're not even looking in that direction. When everybody telling them that, they sit up here saying, no, we're just going to just sign everybody back and go at it again. That's not going to prevent the injury monster, dumb Loomis. And I don't even know if Loomis have the ability to even much say, hold on, Gil. Hey, you know what, Gil? I think injuries are a problem here. Hold on now. We need to fix the injury situation. Can we do that? Because of this weird contract. Remember, Dennis Lauscher, who's your team president, don't know nothing about football on the field or basketball on the field, is a director on the board along with Oshner. How that work? How he get his ass up there and do that? But see, that's the weird connection I'm talking about. And even if it's a bad deal, they making money, they're going to turn the cheek or turn the other way while it still goes on because they're in this situation. It's not like they could say, you know what, there's another place that we're going to roll with because our players are still getting hurt. We need to try to win. Instead of doing it that way, they're going to just sit up here and pretend to keep making money. And that's why we need y'all to keep speaking out against it. Keep talking about that health and stop believing. And I know a lot of my people don't, but for those who still believe you can't do nothing about injuries, that's not true. You can do a lot about injuries. You can train differently. They got people you can, because all these other teams are still winning games and they playing in the same NFL that the Saints is playing in. Same with the Pelicans. They playing the same NBA. How all these other guys can play all these games and their teams and get far down the line or down the road and be all up in the playoffs, and we sit up here letting the same stuff stop us every year while pretending like it's something else. No, it's enough. And besides, if they're saying it's injuries, then you won't use that as an excuse. Let me take that away from you. Why aren't you doing anything about that? Hiring better doctors, this sort of thing. That's what I fixate on. That is a big point of contention with this team. Outside of the talent and all of the moves, the new coach, the young quarterbacks, health. If we're doing the same thing over and over again, we're going to get the same results, bottom line. All right, let's keep it moving, fam. Let's move on. Talk about this enough. Did y'all see this right here? Did y'all see this? Now, what is going on with here? What did Gail do now? What in the world is happening going on with Benson's daughter? Did y'all hear about this? That she got into it with somebody? Did y'all hear about that? I don't know if this is the report right here. I don't think it's the report. But did y'all hear about this? About the granddaughter? Now, this is Rita LeBlanc. Now, remember, Rita LeBlanc was the person before Gail got in there. She was going to be the person that took over the Saints. Now, let me tell you something, fam. If Rita LeBlanc was leading the Saints right now, fam, we would be, no disrespect to Gail, because Gail she come from an interior decorator. I seen some young pictures of Gail back in the day. Gail, she been doing her thing. Let's just put it like that. You get what I'm doing. You underdig. She did her thing. She was an interior decorator, right? But she came up on some ultimate stuff right here, right? But if Rita LeBlanc was running the team, Tom Benson schooled Rita LeBlanc. She know the game inside and out. She was tough. She was smart, but she had it all. But when she collided with Gail Benson, baby, it was a done data. It was over, But anyway, the granddaughter of legendary NFL owner this happened a couple of days ago, was arrested at 48 years old. Now, what the hell happened, right? Rita, the granddaughter of the late great Saints owner Tom Benson, was arrested last week. The granddaughter of legendary reported she was arrested in South Carolina. Now, the 48-year-old granddaughter was arrested following an alleged dispute with a parking enforcement officer, right? A dispute. LeBlanc was reportedly arrested in Charleston, South Carolina. She was arrested on Monday evening at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and she was officially charged with assault, resist, hinder, oppose, interfere with an officer, city employee, according to the police report. Assault, resist, hinder, oppose, and interfere. He threw everything at her. Everything. And this is what Fox News said about what Rita did, if y'all didn't know, right? Her arrest stemmed from an incident involving a parking enforcement officer. Police responded to reports that the former heiress had pushed an officer in downtown Charleston. Look at her. A spokesperson for the department told Fox News that LeBlanc had, at one point during the interaction, also taken the officer's parking boot locking tool while the officer was applying the boot to her vehicle. I don't mean to laugh. I don't mean to laugh. This woman's rich. What are we doing here? It was not clear whether the officer was attempting to place a boot on LeBlanc's car. So she walked up, seen him placing the boot on her car, and pushed his ass. Is that what happened? LeBlanc was reportedly fired by New Orleans Saints despite at one point being in line to take over the team. Benson's wife, Gail Benson, became the team's primary owner following his death in 2018. She was fired by the team in 2014 after serving as the executive for the New Orleans Saints. The granddaughter is scheduled to appear back in court next month. So in July, we'll find out what happened there. But the guy was she parked somewhere. She was supposed to, the guy about to slap a boot on there. Rita said, let me take it back to my New Orleans days on. You ain't gonna be doing this, that, and the third. And, and the man slapped the irons on her, you know what I'm saying? Put her in that place. And, she kind of looked a little rough like that. You know what I'm saying? I was looking at the mugshot. I was like, what's going on here? But yeah, Rita had it all going on, man. She had it going on for a while. And what ultimately happened was, it just didn't end right now. Like I said, it was a situation that occurred with Rita LeBlanc that, man, listen. If y'all know anything about the Tom Benson story, y'all remember that Rita was, she had they went to court, the whole court debacle that occurred. She was accusing of Gail of giving Tom Benson, instead of giving him his medicine, giving him candy and wine and all this kind of stuff, right? She blamed her for not taking care of her, taking care of him, as well as they wanted him to be taken care of. But the reality is, and the old spiel is, that Rita and the rest of them had a problem with Gail and probably seen Gail as a problem because Gail got in there. They didn't get along. And then you seen it escalated between the two. And ultimately what Tom Benson did, he kicked him out of his will, confiscated their cars. They got the Benz dealerships. They was driving Benzes, took their cars from him. He got real petty with it, right? So kind of kicked them out and all this kind of stuff. So they said, cool, we ain't no longer this, that, and the third. We're going to come back at you with this here lawsuit here. So they brought a lawsuit against him and to get their money, what they felt that they was owed. But what ended up happening was Tom Benson ended up paying them off. And I think a big point of them winning it was the fact that the lawsuit that Rita and the rest of them was putting on Tom Benson, they wanted to open up the books, the sealed books, the documents, the sealed, where you can't see the deal that the state and the Saints have with the team. You can't see the deal. They got it sealed. And usually they seal stuff up when they're trying to be dirty and not will let you know that all this type of stuff they're giving the Saints. Like I talk about it all the time. Stuff that's in there is stuff like they don't pay no rent on the Dome. They don't pay no rent on the Smoothie King Center. They get all these concessions, these concessions and all this kind of stuff. They're making out like fat cats. Then on top of that, hell, they gave, the state gave them the building after Hurricane Katrina. They own that building that's affixed right there. The Benson Tower, that's them. The state basically gave them that. They renovated the building. The state rented offices from the Bensons in that building that was double the amount that they're supposed to be. They don't care because you paying for it. The state of people, the taxpayers paying for it. All kind of dirty stuff like that there. That's why I say we need to be more intelligent in our dealings with these teams because really we all should be getting something from it, right? For real. Not just getting that cheap foreign made stuff where we got to pay 3 times over for something that they had made somewhere else. All this kind of stuff. You're supposed to be getting something free, like free tickets, free merchandise. Man, you paying for everything, at least a winning team, right? But anyway, that's the kind of stuff that occurred. When they did that, they kiboshed it. He shut the lawsuit down, paid them all off. And I was like, did y'all catch that? But like I said, it's just how they run stuff. They do stuff that they ain't supposed to do. That's why you got to stay on their back. We're real watchdog groups and not fake ones that's ran by them. They like to do that because we're not as involved as we're supposed to be in these matters at all. But anyway, that's a little game on Gail or Rita Benson. For those who might not know, baby. Now you know. Now let's take a look at the unofficial depth chart for the Saints. One more again before we get going. You can see right here. This is what we are taking into training camp right now. As you can see, the quarterback position, Tyler Shuck, Spencer Rattler, Jake Hayner, Hunter Deckers will be the guy going into camp coming up soon in late July. The running back room is big. We'll be looking forward. You see Alvin, Kendre Miller, Devin Neal, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. There's still Velus Jones Jr. there. Cam Akers is there. Marcus Yarns. A lot of people like Marcus Yarns and his potentiality. You know, undrafted running back. A lot of people like Marcus Yarns, think he's going to be somebody that might help. You know, we're going to be. What's up, Kathleen? Shout out to Kathleen. What's up, bro? All right, big ups to y'all. Good to see y'all in the building. Y'all hit that like button. And then, of course, let's hit the wide receivers up. You see the wide receiver. A lot of wide receivers, fam. Chris Olave, Brandon Cooks, Rashid Shaheed. That's our top three guys right now. Bub Means, Kevin Austin Jr., Cedric Wilson Jr., Mason Tipton, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Dante Pettis, Moochie Dixon, and Chris Tyree. Outside the big three, do you guys see anybody you think realistically could step up and be consistent, right? A lot of people, the only guy you could see there that could possibly be a guy that could step up. Now, I ain't going to just say that line because all these guys have the potential to maybe step up and do some great things. But Donovan Peoples-Jones was a very solid signing for the Saints. This is a guy that's still young in his career, but is a tested veteran wide receiver, runs good routes, catches the ball, has a decent speed as well. What could he do? We're looking at him as being a guy. How about Dante Pettis? Dante Pettis showed us something. He's a hell of a kick returner, He got good speed, about 6'1", good size on him. Can he be a guy to kind of help out in the second layer of the wide receiver room? Bub Means, Kevin Austin Jr. Are those guys, big physical wide receivers, are they ready to step up and contribute to the Saints in a larger role this upcoming season? Perhaps, how about this? This is probably a long shot, but how about Cedric Wilson Jr.? Because Cedric Wilson Jr. be the wide receiver that we needed him to be in year one when he first got here. He did some history with him and Kellen Moore. Can Cedric Wilson Jr. step up and be more consistent in the wide receiver room? Who's that guy? Who do y'all think? And of course, we talk about the tight ends with Juwan Johnson. Taysom's hurt. Maliki Mutavo, the 7th-round draft pick we picked up, who has, I think he's going to be phenomenal down the line. This guy next year could be possibly like the number 2 guy. He has that kind of talent. How about Dalen Hawker? Jake Stahl was a veteran the Saints brung in here. Didn't catch a lot of footballs for the Philadelphia Eagles last year, mostly used as a blocking tight end. We don't see a fullback on the roster. Is that Jake Stahl? Could Jake Stahl be that slight fullback, with does he use Michael fullback, this type of stuff, using multiple tight end rotations, stuff like that. Foster Monroe, we know he is a guy dealing with injury, and then the rest of these guys are totally unproven. Michael Jacobson, Trayton Welch, and Seth Green, we just picked up. We'll see how that competition looks. And then, of course, the offensive line. Kelvin Banks Jr., Trevor Penny, Eric McCoy, Cesar Ruiz, and Tali Fuaka. Behind those guys, Dylan Reynolds, Will Clapp, Landon Young, Nick Saldiveri, Josh Ball, Kilton, Easton Kilty, Kyle Hergel, Torres Ellis Simpkins, and Barry Wesley, and Josiah Rahim. That's what I was saying about it. Like the 2 backups you're looking at, Will Clapp, Dylan Reynolds, those guys. But what about the rest of these guys? Do you feel comfortable about the rest of these guys? Nick Saldiveri can't stay healthy. Landon Young, to me, I don't like how he plays. He kind of regressed in his play. Josh Ball is still somebody who are these guys? What kind of value could they give as backup offensive linemen for the Saints? That's the problem. I want to see some more competition there. Not so many undrafted, unproven guys, but maybe another offensive lineman that can come in there, another vet offensive lineman outside of Dunnance, and maybe another tackle. We'll know. We'll see what happens. And, of course, we go to the defense. They got it listed as 43. That's not the case. We know that it's a 3-4 defense. They just got to upgrade their stuff. But like I said, it's on the official depth chart. So we got a lot of stuff going on there. So we got a lot of people here. We know that up front, the 3 down linemen, Brian Bresee should be one of them. Devine Gacho will probably be the nose tackle there. The other defensive end, people think it's Cam Jordan. I think Cam should. Do you guys think Cam should be a starter on the 34 defense? Or should he should be a rotational player at this stage of his career? What do you guys think? Me personally, my front 3 guys would be both the ends would be Vernon Brockton and Brian Bresee, and the nose tackle would be Devine Gacho. That's who I would like to see when we do the 53-man depth chart breakdown. We're going to talk about all that. But me personally, Cam Jordan, the last couple of years, I think he had like 6 sacks in 2 years. He played a lot of games. I think he just he shouldn't be a starter. I respect Cam, but I think we can do better. This is, probably the young aspect of front with defense with Vernon Brockton and Brian Bresee's games are very similar. Both violent, physical, athletic, 3-4 ends that could really cause hell, because you're going to need guys that cause hell up front, because they're battling 5 guys. They have to, 3 against 5. That has to be the case. We don't need nobody up there getting single blocked. Those guys have to be hell spawns, and helps those linebackers stay clean so they can move around and make plays for us. But Cam Jordan is a backup. You got other guys back there. Colin Saunders, Nate Shepard, John Ridgway, Jacine Davis is another guy that's interesting. Might be considered a linebacker. They got Christian Boyd, these other guys, right? And then the linebacker side of things with Carl Grandis and Chase Young at the outside linebackers, Demario Davis and Pete Werner inside, right? The 4 linebackers. Will be fun watching that rotation. If guys get banged up, Mr. Pete Werner, whatever, Danny Stutzman's there, right? Because we rely on him, Jalen Ford, DeMarco Jackson. How good is DeMarco Jackson? The Saints released Anthony Orgy, which was a huge mistake. Why did they do that? They released Anthony Orgy. Anthony Orgy was one of the young, really good linebackers the Saints had. That was a bad decision to let Anthony Orgy go and keep DeMarco Jackson there, and DeMarco Jackson ain't proved to be nothing. Anthony Orgy has been running circles around DeMarco Jackson. He hadn't proven anything. I don't know. I didn't like that move. But outside of that, other guys, Nephi Sewell and Isaiah Stallbird has some potentiality as well. You'll see guys like Isaiah Foskey in the linebacker room. Now, Fadil Diggs. We'll give a check. Chris Rumph II, Jonah. Those guys could be used at that position as well. So, very interesting. And then we go to the secondary with our cornerbacks, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Alante Taylor. They saying Isaac Yiddom. It could be Ugo Amadi's in the mix, Quincy Riley, Rico Payton, Isaac Yiddom, and guys like that are thrown in the mix. But so let's say top 4 cornerbacks Saints have: Kool-Aid McKinstry, Alante Taylor, and you look at Kool-Aid, Alante. I'm missing out on somebody. Who I'm missing, y'all? And Ugo's a guy that a lot of people think should get some respect. He's been holding the nickel down, but you got Isaac Yiddom there. You got Quincy Riley dealing with a little minor injury. Can he step up? How fast did he develop to help in the Saints locker room? And also remember, the Saints are still looking for help in the secondary, especially at the cornerback position. They tried out Asante Samuel Jr. There are other rumors about other guys that's still out there that's available at the cornerback position free agency wise. Be interesting to see how it all works out. So I also like Rico Payton. Rico Payton at the cornerback, backup cornerback was nice. And then, of course, we look at the safeties. Justin Reed, Tyrann Mathieu, good combination of safeties. Guys played together in Kansas City. They're here with New Orleans. And then the backups, guys like Jonas Sanker is going to be big in the backup role. If there's injuries or anything, Jordan Howden is also there. How good can Jordan Howden be? We still have JT Gray and guys like that. Going to be interesting. Another guy to make mention of is Dallas Beenum. He's another very interesting player, undrafted guy in the cornerback room. A lot of people want to keep their eyes. It's always one really good one that we always seem to get. And, of course, special teams. You're looking at Matt Hayball, Blake Grupe, Zach Wood, and, of course, the return guys. They're looking at Rashid Shaheed there as a returner. And of course, you look at the competition for our kick return specialist. James Burnip from Alabama. Some people see him as the best punter in the draft. He didn't get drafted. The Saints picked him up undrafted. Burnip could very well beat Matt Hayball like he beat the other guy last year. The Saints have no loyalty to Matt Hayball. James Burnip, good punting directionally, got good hang time on his punts, was one of the tops in all of the country last year for Alabama, helped out in their return game. Burnip is somebody you want to pay attention to. It's going to be a tough punting situation in that battle in that punting room. And also the place kicker. Blake Grupe has been really solid for the Saints, really good young kicker. But Charlie Smith is a guy you won't pay attention to. This guy was in that when he was kicking 60-yard field goals, all this kind of stuff. The Saints kept him on the practice squad and kind of kept him tucked for a reason. Smith could be interesting. Blake Grupe and Smith kicking, man, that's going to be an interesting thing. You got a new special teams coordinator there. It's going to, well, not new, but Phil Galliano is taking over from where we have Rizzi left. So Galliano's here at the special team game. He knows some of these guys, but I'm telling you off the bat, the place kicker and the punter is going to be an interesting competition right now for the Saints, right? And then, of course, the return game. Who's going to be the returners? They got Rashid Shaheed listed there. I don't know if Rashid Shaheed I don't think he does the bulk of the returning duties. I think every now and again he'll pop up there. Maybe that could be somewhere to explain why Cooks is here, to allow a guy, Rashid Shaheed to kind of go back every now and then to help out or provide a spark for the return game. You get what I'm saying? But you still have Pettis, who, did a good job when he returned punts. We got good speed there. He also has a returner background. Velus Jones Jr. is another guy that ain't got listed up here. That's also good in return game. And as we will see the special team side of things turn going forward, we just have to wait and see how that goes and who really steps up to be the returners for the Saints. But the special teams room family is going to be very interesting all the same to say the same thing. All right. 504 coach, shout out to Fancy Q. Explain to me why Caesar Salad is not in the competition for his job. Money, my friend. Money. Cesar Ruiz, man, a lot of people, I don't know what it is, man. I don't know why they don't see him. I don't know why. It's one of them weird occurrences that happen. I don't know why they don't see Cesar Ruiz, family. I don't know why. I don't get that part of the game. I don't get it. They don't see him. Only a handful of the family members see Cesar. It's like, okay, what you mean? A lot of people don't see him. When we do the film study on Patreon, the shows is up there from last year for the family members to take a look at on Patreon. We do the breakdowns. We pinpoint and show you what's going on with Cesar. And Cesar Ruiz, with a lot of times he was out of position. He wasn't communicating with the younger guys around him. It just didn't look good. And like I said, I've been watching Cesar Ruiz since he's been here. And it was one good year that I really could say he had a solid year. And that was that year that he got paid. And after that, it wasn't that. And I've said this before. Cesar Ruiz should be the best offensive lineman the Saints have. He played a ton of snaps, a ton of reps. He missed a lot of games like that. And this guy should be a borderline Pro Bowler, if not a Pro Bowler right now. And people just don't see it. If you watch the tape, you can see he's not consistent as he should be. And maybe that was the offensive line coach. I don't know. Maybe this offensive line coach we got now could get the most out of Cesar Ruiz, because God knows, we know that all coaches aren't created equal. Don't we know that, fam? So perhaps this coach, the new offensive line coach, which is the old offensive line coach from Sean Payton's time, this man and him along with TJ Pagnetti, the run game coordinator, could help elevate Cesar Ruiz to where he belongs. Because I think Cesar has the talent, and he should be, if not the best Saints offensive lineman right now, a borderline Pro Bowler. But then again, Pro Bowlers don't mean nothing nowadays. I'm talking about old school Pro Bowler definitions, not the new school where you miss half the season. You play you look good in 3 to 4 games, and you get a Pro Bowl nod for doing it. That's what happened to McCoy. McCoy, this wasn't a Pro Bowl year in my estimation for McCoy. I don't know. It wasn't. He looked good in the first 2 games of the year, and he got hurt in the third game. He missed at half the season, he came back. He didn't look nowhere near what he was before. He played in 4 more games, got hurt, and then his season was over with. That was not a Pro Bowl year. You're giving him Pro Bowl for 2 games? The first week 1 and week 2, that's what we're doing? So, yeah, the Pro Bowl is garbage. They need to cancel the shit altogether and make it an award ceremony where they just send it to their house or something. Nobody wants to see that. But the old school Pro Bowl definitions, when they really got them and they earned it for solid play, not just getting handed out on some BS. But Cesar Ruiz, in my estimation, should be a lot better than what he is, fam. I'm just keeping it all the way funky with you. I don't know why they don't see him, bro. That's a great question. All right, what's up, KT? Shout out to my brother KT, man. He says, I will never forgive Peyton for taking Ruiz over. Oh, yeah. Sean Payton. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Yeah, Sean Payton got rid of, I always forget this man's name, y'all. Y'all help me out. The man was, what was he? I don't know. He did something to piss off Sean Payton. But Sean Payton, it was after that horrible playoff series that happened where the Saints laid down. They did not come to play. They were awful. I was so upset how pathetic they were in that game against the Minnesota team. That's when the guy pushed off, what's his name? P.J. Williams. Pushed off P.J. Williams and caught a touchdown. Wasn't that in the Superdome? They were playing Minnesota. Was that Kyle Rudolph? Kyle Rudolph pushed off P.J. Williams, caught the touchdown at the end of the game, and then the referees were supposed to go back and view it, and they said they're not viewing the touchdown. I was like, where they do that at? Dumb bastards break their own rules, and you can see it's a bunch of garbage. You can see it's a bunch of trash, right? That was like, where they do that at? You are required on every touchdown to go back and review it. They elected not to review a game-winning touchdown in the playoffs. They literally said that. I like, these people don't have no rule book. They're just making it up as they go. And if anybody got an NFL rule book out there, prove me wrong. Show me your updated rule book for today. You don't have one. They making these rules up as they go. And that after that loss right there, Sean Payton blamed, what was his name, fam? Put it in the chat for me. What was the man's name? Larry Warford. Thank you, bro. Thank you, Who Dat Records. Thank you, Jerry, KT. But yeah, Larry Warford, Clint. Larry Warford, Sean Payton basically almost, he didn't say it, but he treated Warford like he was the problem, like he was the issue. And he wasn't. All of the Saints stunk except for Taysom Hill. And who else was? Drew was all right, but the line wasn't blocking like shit. They wasn't running the ball like that. Taysom Hill was the reason why they had life. If they would have kept going with Taysom, they might have won the game. They went away from Taysom. That team played like shit. The offense played terrible. The defense played terrible. They didn't want it. Almost like they didn't want to be there. And I was like, this is a playoff game in the building. We need to win this game. They didn't play like it at all. It's like they mailed it in. I lit into them on that year. I lit into them on that year. But the thing is, when the offseason hit, Peyton he didn't say it, but he treated Larry Warford like he was the problem. And the crazy part about it is Larry Warford still had a year left on his contract. And he said that I'm coming back for the final year. Peyton got rid of the man. He ain't get rid of Teron Armstead, who looked awful in that game, and all those other guys that looked pathetic. He didn't do nothing else, but he got rid of Larry Warford. And then what he do? Instead of going out and getting the free, I was saying, Peyton, don't you do that. Go back and listen to the shows. We covered all this. And I was saying, Peyton, do not, whatever you do, please don't go and draft a young center who will then come to the team and have to learn to be a center at the position with these veterans around. Just go out and get a veteran. He went and got Cesar Ruiz, and I said, man, gonna get Drew Brees killed because Drew Brees couldn't get out of harm's way. Drew Brees was so slow back there. It was like he was moving. You hike the ball and he's trying to move around. It's like his feet in sand. That's how slow Drew Brees got on the back in his career. He could not get out of harm's way. You had to have a veteran line to protect him. And when they put him in that, what happened after that year? You remember your boy beat Cesar Ruiz so bad Drew Brees tried to throw the ball. That boy pancaked Drew Brees and broke them all up. Y'all remember that? Put one in the chat. Y'all remember that? That was Kentavious, what's his name? Kentavious Street, who later became a Saint. That guy beat Cesar Ruiz so bad that Ruiz couldn't grab and hold him. That's how badly he was beat. And he crunched Drew Brees up like a stale bag of corn chips. He just all out, everything broken up. Just broke him up. And I was like, man, see these people. You don't put no young guy back there to block for him, and you got a guy that can't get out of harm's way. You don't do that to him, and that's exactly what happened. That's it. See all the people in ones. I remember that. So it was crazy, man. It was crazy. Thank you. Appreciate you, bro. All right. Scoop says Q Payton was used to beats at guard. Warford was a lesser version of himself, if that helps. Yeah, but he wasn't worse than what he was getting from a rookie. And, it was just crazy, man. And the reality is, Scoob, Cesar didn't even play center. When he got there, Sean Payton made it worse by making him play the right guard position, and he never played guard before. That's how he got beat from. He wasn't even a center. He made McCoy the center. He wanted to replace the center. McCoy was supposed to move to guard, and Ruiz was supposed to be the center. And then when the man drafted him, he got here, Peyton must have seen that he wasn't ready and say, hold on, I want to see more of McCoy, because he was trying to shift McCoy to guard. Then McCoy played center for a week of practices or something like that. And a week and a half, that's what it was. It was a week and a half. Then Peyton made the switch and put Ruiz in there at center. And Ruiz played 4 or 5 days, then got hurt. And after that, Peyton scrapped the whole experiment, and you had Cesar Ruiz at guard. So the first year, 2 and 3, Cesar Ruiz was learning how to play the guard position. He was too light. He wasn't strong enough. His footwork wasn't all that. And he never played the position before. And then his contract, he had a stellar year. And then after that, it all went to hell. Like, he went to being what he is right now. And people don't see Cesar Ruiz. They don't see it. Only a handful of people seeing it. So, yeah, man, I've been watching these people. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Corn chips stale at that, bro. Y'all remember that? That was not a good decision. That's right. Who that said was Kentavious Street with the Niners. So what I'm saying is, hell, I forgot what I was. Sidebar. But anyway, listen, man, the moral of the story is we got to make sure that we don't put rookies to protect a immobile quarterback. The guy can't move. You need veterans up there that can block for him. So since we don't have that problem, we got guys that can move at the quarterback position, young guys. I guess we're a little better off there, right? Hell, I forgot what I was doing. All right, so anyway, man, let's shout out to y'all. If y'all got any comments, put them in the stage. Y'all any questions, throw them in there, and I will answer to the best of my ability. Much love. Appreciate y'all. Y'all hit the like button for me as we keep this thing going. All right, shout out to you. All right, so let's jump on this, man. Y'all ready to talk about some boxing? How about talking about some boxing, baby? Let's talk about some boxing. Do we got boxing heads out there? Let's talk a little boxing, right? All right. KT says, Q, bro, we had 2 opportunities to draft franchise quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson and Jordan Love, then drafted 2 ham sandwiches. Oh, yeah, Ruiz is underachieved, in my opinion. Davenport is an unmitigated bust. And don't forget Peyton Turner. The Saints failed. Peyton Turner was another bust. Davenport was another bust. Peyton Turner over there with the Dallas Cowboys now. So it's just more of the same, right? It's just more of the same. It was bad. But out of that, we did get the likes of Carl Granderson, undrafted, and Chase Young. Saints Chase Young in. So that worked. So some kind of way we could not. And see, that shows we got to change it up there. We got to change it up. We got to get better with those first round draft. These guys at the top of the draft aren't really helping the team like that. Now we got Tali Fuaga and Kelvin Banks Jr. That's different. Those guys will help. I guess we're getting better right there. But them defensive linemen like Davenport and Peyton Turner and all this kind of stuff, man, you can miss me with them guys, bro. We need to get guys that know how to play the position. Saints did well with the last couple of picks. They got Tolly, they got Kelvin Banks Jr. That's way better. So I appreciate that. All right, so let's jump off into it. All right, let's talk. There you go, Cartel. Let's talk about it. Q. All right, to all my boxing heads out here, man. This is a fight that a lot of people said would not happen. Y'all put y'all boxing caps, because I know y'all like boxing as much as I do. I like boxing almost as much as I like football, right? But this is what we talk about on Ring Kings Boxing. Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford to have KO bonus after Canelo's all-time stinker against William Skull. Now, this is interesting. A lot of people were terribly pissed about the Canelo Alvarez fight with William Skull, because a lot of people didn't want to see Skull because they figured Skull would be a matchup nightmare for Canelo Alvarez, who Canelo is a good fighter. He'll go down as one of the best fighters there is, right? We know that about Canelo Alvarez. He's been battle tested, been doing this for a while. He's been up there at the top. One of the game's largest draw is Canelo Alvarez. At one time, it was Pretty Boy Floyd, Money Mayweather. It's now Canelo Alvarez, and he's been doing it for a while. Battle tested, power in both fists, very slick boxer. His speed is leaving him, but he's still very smart in the ring and could knock you out with either hand. The William Skull fight was so horrible that Turkey Al Sheikh, who's a promoter from Saudi Arabia, he bought up all this and got into boxing. He bought the Ring magazine, and he's basically trying to terraform the landscape of boxing, where his money is getting fighters together. Like before, this fight would have never been made if it was between the promoters. They couldn't agree on nothing. It took somebody with a vast amount of money, and this man got oil money behind him, Turkey Al Sheikh. So he's funding a lot of the fights that we're seeing, and he's getting people to come together. But the problem is with some of the fights that he sponsored, especially the recent ones, when you talk about Devin Haney and his fight and Teofimo Lopez and these type of guys, they would do a lot of running. So what he decided to do was shrink the ring. And I was like, he got that kind of power? He talked about making the ring smaller and trying to institute a no running rule, because that's what William Skull did. William Skull he ran away from Canelo Alvarez. He fought when he had to fight, but people are not interested in that style of fighting. They want to see two fighters stand in the ring and engage. So with the new rules and all this other stuff, with the trying to shrink the ring and the no cat, what do you call it? He don't want to see Tom and Jerry fights. That's what Turkey Al Sheikh called them. And I say all that to say, all this is around the fight with Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez now. So you have all this stuff. And these two guys are very accomplished. You know about Canelo, you know about Bud Crawford. You know, it's going to be a very interesting fight. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about this one, because I'm going to put the tail of the tape on for y'all so y'all can see what I'm talking about between these two fighters. But it's going to be a very interesting fight, and I'll give you my take on who I think wins the fight. But y'all let me know in the comment section. What's up, Tasha? What's up, Slim? Shout out to y'all, man. Appreciate y'all. Y'all hit the like button for me. And shout out to Tasha for being a member for 53 months. You go, girl. All right. Much love. All right. Okay. All right. Scoop says, Q, my favorite boxer was Frankie Randall. Okay. Sweet Pea Whitaker. Yes, indeed. Philly Boy, Bernell Hopkins. Yep. And Julio Cesar Chavez. That was a real Cesar right there. Not the salad, but this was a real Cesar right there. That guy could fight. All right. Yeah. KT says Chase Young equals your dad. Come on, KT. You can't keep saying that, brother. No, man. The man's not Jadeveon Clowney. And actually, Jadeveon Clowney had a good year with the Carolina Panthers last year. You know what I'm saying? Who That Daddy said, yes, Alvarez versus Crawford is must-see TV. Indeed. And the reason why I'm giving y'all the background, for those who don't know, is because of the fact that if it wasn't for Turkey Al Sheikh, we wouldn't be seeing this, because his money is bringing these fighters together. This would have been a fight that you had an imagination about, right? It'll be stuck up in your imagination, like, you know. But Crawford versus Terrence, this is the tail of the tape, Canelo Alvarez. 34 years old, you can see right there, 5'7" and a half, reached 70 inches, 7.5 inches. Total fight 67, record 63-2-2 with 39 knockouts. He's definitely a knockout artist. Bud Crawford, 37, 3 years older. He's 5'8", just a little taller. Got a 74-inch reach which is what he going to use to try to peck at Canelo Alvarez. Total fights, he got 16 fights, no, actually 26 fights less total fights, but he got an unbelievable record at 41-0 with 31 knockouts. I don't know why he don't just go and get that 50-0, but he's trying to do a payday because he's 37 years old. He's trying to get out of the fight. Crawford gonna go down as one of the best boxers that ever did it. You watch what I say. Now, this is what I anticipate is going to happen between these two men when we ultimately see what happens between these two. This is my take on what I think happens between Bud Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. It is incredibly difficult for a fighter to climb because he's going up in class to fight. He's going up in class, several divisions up the class to fight Canelo Alvarez. My thing with Bud Crawford is I wanted to see Bud Crawford family. Hold on, there's something going on here, fam. Give me just a second. Can y'all still hear me? Y'all put one in the chat if y'all can still hear me. My screen went black. But what I want to see here between these two guys is something simple. I wanted to see Bud Crawford at least take a fight, right? Take a fight in the same division as Canelo Alvarez. I don't care what the fight is. Just take the damn fight, right? Just take the fight. Whatever the situation is, take a fight in the division, a fight with a fighter in that weight class, because that's a lot to ask for if you are jumping that far up in class to fight the man. You would want to, have a fight. Y'all put one in the chat if y'all can still hear me, man. Y'all, because my screen went black here. I'm gonna still talk like y'all hear me. Y'all put one in the chat if y'all can hear me. But my whole interest in this whole thing, man, is to be honest with you, fam, is I think at the end of the day that this could be a fight that is Canelo Alvarez. It is incredibly difficult for Terrence Crawford to move several classes up to get to what Canelo Alvarez is fighting. And man, I just think it's going to be difficult. That's tough. I would have liked to seen Crawford fight the man, fight one person in that weight class. I would have liked to have seen him fight one person in that weight class, as opposed to just jump straight up there and say, yeah, I'm gonna do it. You know how difficult that is for him to do it. And we ain't talking about some scrub. We're talking about Canelo Alvarez as a fighter that is one of the best in the game. Now, Bud's got the speed. He's very intelligent. He does have power too, but it's a different level, a different world when you dealing with a guy like Canelo Alvarez. So it's going to be a very difficult fight, And like I said, I think Crawford's going to use his speed. I don't think he'll be a fool to stand toe to toe with him and try to fight him and play his game where he stands toe to toe with Canelo Alvarez. If he flat footed standing toe to toe with Canelo, that's a knockout. You're not going to be able to stand up there toe to toe with him. That's just not going to happen. But if he does what Bud do, which is, use the longer reach, stay at a distance, kind of tap at him, work on him, work body, head, move around him, and combinate punch him. Like even if you watch William Skull fight him, Skull had speed. He just ran a lot, but he connected when he had opportunity to connect with Canelo, and he frustrated him. Now, I know Bud can learn from that because Canelo could not land shots on Skull. The last fighter, he frustrated him. So if that's the case, if Bud's temperament is to win, that would be the path to victory in my estimation. If he uses superior reach and peck at him, head, body, that type of stuff, combination punches, he can frustrate him. I don't think he knocks him out, but I think he ultimately can outpoint Canelo Alvarez in the ring. Also, the previous fight, if you study the tape, Canelo Alvarez could not cut off the ring for William Skull to escape. He could not cut the ring off. If he can't do that against Skull, I know he can't do that against Crawford. So that's his path to victory. But listen, if Canelo, like I said, Terrence could take a shot, but listen, don't stand toe to toe with Canelo Alvarez. And also, this could be the philosophy going forward for Canelo to be super aggressive at Bud Crawford. He cannot allow Bud to stand back there and peck at him with jabs and all this kind of stuff and word combinations. He has to be aggressive. He can't have the same fight that he had against Skull. What's going to end up happening is he's going to get outpointed and he's going to lose the fight. So the thing is, he has to do it differently. He has to be super aggressive. Got to cut off the ring and make something like that happen. So with that being said, who is my picking? I got to go with Canelo Alvarez. It is incredibly, and I love Terrence Crawford. I love his game, but it's incredibly difficult to move several weight classes up and fight somebody at that weight. Even though you might walk around at that weight. You have not fought at that weight. It's different. You know, we seen what Charlo tried to go up there and do, fighting at that weight, and Charlo didn't have the right game plan. I think he was kind of gave Canelo a lot of respect in the ring, more respect than he should have given him, and he just got outclassed. But it is incredibly difficult to move up in several classes up to get to Canelo, and don't have a fight in the class until you fight the guy at the top of the class. That's crazy work. But in the end, Bud's great. We're going to see. But I got Canelo in this one, fam. But if it's a great fight, the good news is it might be a sequel. If it's a great fight and, they might do it again because money talks, BS walks. If it's a big bank and we thinking it's going to be a big bank, it's going to be a big fight. So we're going to see how it go. But I got to have Canelo in this one because it's just too much to ask for Bud Crawford to do, to get up that high and to just take this. I just don't see it. I think Canelo Alvarez is eventually going to win. I don't think he knocks out Bud Crawford, but I think he eventually beats him. I just don't think it's going to happen the way you think. You can't go up there that high and think you're going to just go and outclass. You taking on the man. You doing that, let me know that you're doing it for the money. Maybe a little legacy, but they all trying to get a payday. That's why you challenge Canelo Alvarez. Charlo did it. All these other clowns did it. They did it in an attempt to get a payday because Canelo spells payday. We seen Jaime Munguia do it. Climb up there, he got his ass beat, he got the payday. Charlo got beat down, they got the payday. So these guys go up there and they get the payday. Only one dude really whipped on them the last, you know who it was. But this is going to be a difficult fight for Terrence Crawford. I think it's going to be a loss. I don't think he gets knocked out, but I think eventually, Canelo will win this fight. It's just too hard for a man to go up there. You ain't fighting nobody in his class. You think you're going to go take his belts. I don't know. You might be smoking something on that one. But anyway, listen, fam, that's going to do it for me, man. Y'all put it in the comment section. Let me know how y'all feel about that. What y'all think about that, man. Let me know and how you feel about it. And we're going to go back to it. But that's my call on it, man. We're going to see. All right. Scoop says Crawford got to be disciplined or Canelo going to win. I got Canelo because, and I'm going to tell you why, I just can't see it. It is incredibly difficult and hard to move up several weight classes to fight the top guy and considered the top guy in the sport. Terrence is good, but it's different. Like if y'all seen the stare down, not the one they did today, but the one they did at first, you seen Terrence Crawford look into Canelo Alvarez's eyes when he turned away because the stare down is a sight game. It's a psych game. It's a psychological thing. You're trying to psych out the boxer that you're staring at. So if you have a good stare down and it's like you look into the windows, those fighters are looking into the windows, each other's windows of soul. But if you staring into a guy that got fire in his eyes and a guy that got a stone cold killer look, you see how Crawford looked away. How you look after he stared away, man. Listen, man, it's a sight game. Canelo Alvarez done seen a lot. He done fought Mayweather. Mayweather danced around him. I just think he got way better. He changed his game up. Yeah, he's a little old in this game, older. He kind of ain't as fast as he used to be, but he's still very intelligent. He's very wise in the ring. He still can knock you out with either fist. He still can box as well as a slug with you. He got a rock chin, so you ain't going to be locking him out. But it's going to be very interesting to see how it all goes. But I got to go with Canelo because it's almost too much to believe that he'd do it. If Crawford would have took a fight in the same division with the guy to get familiar with what it'd like to be with a guy in that class, that would be one thing. I think Crawford overstepping himself on this one. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to get out on that. Listen, I appreciate you guys for being in the stream on that one, man. I appreciate you. Y'all let me know in the comment section below what y'all think. Yeah, Cartel says Bud been trying to get to Canelo for some time. I know he been calling him out for a while. The only reason why the fight got made is because Turki Al-Ashik's money. Because the thing is, a lot of people thought it was a joke because Crawford was where he is. This guy was a welterweight, right? And then they thinking about him moving up, but he didn't want to fight the up and coming welters. That's how people figured it's a payday for Bud Crawford. Like he didn't want to fight Jaron Ennis at the time who was there, or the rest of these guys, or Virgil Ortiz that was welterweights at the time. If he moves up to junior welterweight, you don't want to fight all the guys, Charlo and all these guys. Didn't want to fight those guys. He called out Canelo. He wanted Canelo because he wants a payday. Then he retires. But I think if you're serious, you don't just do that. You go and fight a guy in that weight group, then set the stuff up when you don't just go straight to him. I know you think you're great, but they got other guys that feel the same way. So we're going to see how it all ends on that day, man. Y'all, we'll see if I'm wrong. All right, so anyway, with that being said, I'm going to get out on that. Just want to drop a little boxing on y'all. And also, man, this whole thing going on, and we heard about that's going on and with the Israel thing, fam. Also, just y'all understand, I know, just be careful with all this other stuff because these people did say some stuff. If things were going to happen a certain kind of way, we knew, all this kind of stuff going on with this. We know that this happened, and this could be bad news here. So just be mindful of what you see and watch out for yourselves out there because anytime this stuff go on, it's a problem. They threaten to do stuff here. They might move these people in here and do all this kind of stuff. Weird stuff start happening. Weird stuff been happening. We've been talking. We talk about it on Q with Big Q. But this stuff will be interesting to see how it goes. So y'all guys just be mindful of this type of stuff when you're moving around. Pay attention to your surroundings and just be vigilant in this time when stuff goes. I know we didn't vote to do all this kind of stuff. And sometimes you have mercy when people do these decisions that may ultimately affect us. These other guys, if something go wrong, they go hide in the ground somewhere. Where you gonna go? You see? So they used to care about us back in the day. They used to have shelters where you can go and all this kind of stuff. I remember I was in Shreveport. I seen old shelters that people would go. They had them all throughout the city. All that, they done scrapped all of that. The politicians so selfish, they don't care. They make these decisions and whatever happened, and they hiding underground somewhere. We suffering from the decisions they make. So in the end, man, listen, man. Y'all just stay vigilant out there, man, and be prepared at all times, man, and know that this is real. All right, so anyway, with that being said, I'm going to get out on that. I appreciate y'all, man. I love y'all, man. Y'all stay vigilant. Y'all stay safe out there, man. And listen, we're going to come back at another time and talk some more Saint stuff. Much love, fam, and who that to you. Peace.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shade for the championship. Fucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, money like this and I'm a Who Dat. Every day I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a Who Dat. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Coast with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Who that say they gon' beat them Saints? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gon' beat them Saints? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gon' beat them Saints? Who that? Who that?
WhoThatDaily.com. That's right, the WhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who Dat and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. The WhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who Dat in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and Who Dat.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here.
Is uncomplicated with Tiege Hanley's simplified skincare system. Here's how it works. Go to Tiege.com, pick your system, and get handsome. 3 simple steps. Wash, scrub, and moisturize. It's that simple.
Guys, go to Tiege.com and get started today.
To be a therapist, in my opinion, is one of the most humbling things ever.
A platform like BetterHelp is very important because it allows access to affordable mental health care.